Steal coffins again. I have no idea why it is repeatedly doing this. This is absolutely infuriating. Alright. Absolutely, absolutely infuriating. I swear to God, I'm gonna lose. I'm probably gonna lose all the fucking progress from this stream anyway. This is now the third frickin' time I've done this. Alright. We're back up to here, I believe. Yeah.
Close.
Real quick. Sorry.
Damn it, Sarge! Fire on that fracking reaver.
Okay. Yeah, third time's the fucking charm, I hope. I'm not opening up any more goddamn tabs. I'm not testing what my computer can handle. I'm not opening up any more tabs. We're just gonna do this the regular way, and hopefully it posts the other fucking half of this thing. Hopefully. God knows if it will. We're gonna I gotta edit that video real quick so that it says part 1. Lol. Alright. Settings.
Let's wrap this up. Fire!
Alright. One more time. So they're catching it on the hop. Okay. Okay, hold up. That one was a little silly. That was a little silly. So, moving up to get in range of this kind of lighter vehicle. Definitely swifting it. Firing on the move with something like this is not a great idea just because of how basically unbalanced the gun is. You can see the doors at the back, probably for loading ammunition and for theoretically having the crew escape. You can also see side hatches here, which is pretty indicative of the Steg 4. There's a great portion in one of the books where a crewman has to crawl all the way from the front to the rear of the vehicle, and there's another escape hatch underneath the belly. And he manages to get out that way after the turret basically gets ripped off by a Chaos Space Marine. But they're trying to fire on the move. And you can see how high he is. He's basically firing and bouncing up and down, and then the return shot flips it. Which, admittedly, flipping a tank like that is pretty difficult, but it can happen. So these are the backs of the Chimeras. They've obviously prepped some anti-tank troops in there. Yeah, the Leopard balancing a beer. That's a good example. So we have some anti-tank troops here. That's a long shot with a tank's machine gun, I'm not gonna lie. They're literally still in the cover of the Chimera, and he's managing to basically hit on the first round with a tank's unguided machine gun, which, holy crap, that's a lucky shot. Especially because that was an anti-tank team. So the other thing, if that Chimera was sideways to him, then that round probably would have gone through. But if it was front on to him, the Reaver and the Chimera have the same armor, so it wouldn't have gone through. But you can see, here's our first Steg, here's our Reaver, here's our 2 Chimeras, here's that damaged Chimera, and then our other Steg is over here. And they're definitely engaging like a kilometer distant. I consider a kilometer to be definitely long range for a tank fight.
Report.
But it is the range at which most tank fights begin.
Everyone all right? Affirmative.
Yeah, the hell are they doing here? We're in the middle of nowhere.
Probably a raiding party.
Yeah, raiding party, guys. Definitely a raiding party when they have a full-on tank, 3 vehicles with support infantry. By the way, they didn't deal with any of the other support infantry, so I'd like to know where all of those, 15, 30 guys are. But, if they didn't have any anti-tank weapons, I would probably also turn the Chimeras around in GTFO.
Passing the front line to attack the rear.
Blasted planet. Can't even maintain a clear front.
We'll have to warn the Talaran to put escorts on their next convoys. We won't always be here to clear.
Yep, so you can see that these Chimeras were not outfitted for an anti-armor job. We've got a heavy bolter pretty high and tight to the turret, and then a multi-laser as well. But you can see that these are pretty heavily up-armored with slat armor on the side.
That mess. We'll tell them when we see them.
And then here's the ass end of the Reaver.
39 clicks out.
We sure the rendezvous's good?
Should be. Either way, we'll be in radio range soon, despite the interference. Looks like we just got within range.
Good. Give me a sec. Elusive Fennec. Dust Eye. Confirm meetup at Point Alpha.
Fennec, all clear. We'll be within...
So another thing to note about these is that they have up-armored tracks on the front, which armored tracks are good because it keeps what the Reaver had happen to it from happening. It protects them a little bit and keeps them from general wear and tear or infantry anti-tank weapons knocking out their tracks.
Second 20 minutes. Over. Copy that.
Yeah, so you can also see that there is a turret hole, so there's definitely at least one, if not two people in here, and then one person in the hull. That's what it looks like to me.
30 minutes. Over and out.
Alright, so let's see if it takes us directly to the next one. Yep, there we go. Alright, Steel Coffins 3. Alright, hold up. We got a fucking busy first scene here. Jesus. Alright. So we've gotten to the meetup point with what looks like the Talon over here. We have a Tech Priest or Tech Adept here working on... that's a container. That looks like a Lehman Russ. Yep, that's a Lehman Russ. Maybe a Conqueror. Look at the big treads on these bitches. He's got a plasma gun, and he's got an armored thing. Got another Lehman Russ over here. Another... Is that a Chimera? That looks like some sort of support Chimera. Possibly like a support fuel vessel. Yeah, it's probably a support fuel vessel, one of these. And then another Chimera? Yes, Chimera with a big gun. Yeah, big gun Chimera. Chimerax. Yes, the Bradley. It is real.
Captain Raider, company commander of the Talon 41st. Well done
Imagine a Talon commander being named Raider. Hilarious.
on getting here.
Sergeant Sakari, sir. Squadron commander of the Solston 12th.
Solston 12th. So that's our homebrew animators regiment. Solston 12th. Haven't heard of them before, but clearly they use some pretty nice, tricked out chimeras. Again, with these modified things, with these modified special guns and special tanks, you're probably going to be looking at not as many. So normally when you'd be talking about chimera regiments, you'd be talking about having a number of vehicles between like 75 and 25 per regiment, split up into companies of 10 or 5 or 15. And then you'd have... In this case, you drop that down, so this would probably be a company. These three would probably be a company. Or maybe there's another two that we are different things, but yeah. Also, that's fucked up if YouTube is deleting your posts.
How are your troops?
We had a scuffle with a heretic patrol on the way here.
Did you deal with them?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes, sir.
What a dick. Literally, what a dick. Hey, we got ambushed on the way here. Did you deal with them? All of them? It's like, come on, man. Yeah, I gave you the report. You know I dealt with all of them. Yeah. Yeah, you should not ignore infantry. See, I think they took another couple shots at the Bradley while they were showing us that little vignette of knocking the Steg out. But even then, those infantry should have been disembarking, like, when the Reaver first got hit.
Good. If you don't ensure you kill everything around here, then it will kill you.
There you go, exactly what he said. If you don't ensure that you kill everything around here, then it will kill you.
Trust me. Any damage to the vehicles? Are your troops all here?
We barely took a hit.
Good.
Yeah, so he seems surprised that there are so few of them, which I think is another indication that this is going to be a specialist, light armored regiment, and they're not going to have as many vehicles. So he's kind of weirded out because the Talon are very big in their regiments. So, like, their chimeras are going to be like 75 chimeras in a regiment. Like, that's a lot. Where they see somebody come around, it's like, oh, your company is 3 vehicles? Like, what the hell? And it's like, yeah, no, man. Minor regiments do exist. We don't have as many resources as you do.
Follow me. Orbital Recon has finally spotted them.
Hey, look, it's our Strategium tank. Our little green goo-filled terrain diviner.
Fracking battery that's been smashing our guys for the past week. I want it gone.
Sir. What's the plan?
There's the mother of all sandstorms coming. Enough to cover our tracks and keep us clear from air support. You and your men will act as point squadrons and lay up as overwatch on the position. Your auspexes are the only one we have that can work through the interference, so you will be our eyes during the assault.
So you can also tell that like a Chimera isn't going to have the same auspexes as a tank, which is what I was talking about before in the, I guess, what is now to become the part 1 of this video series. But those vehicles will be able to operate in a sandstorm. Generally, you don't want to operate in a sandstorm. Even modern vehicles suffer pretty bad battle damage from being in a legit sandstorm. So doing this is kind of a measure of last resort, and he's probably doing it because he thinks that these tanks can operate in a sandstorm without much negatives to their options. And like the lore says, something like the AT-70 isn't going to be able to operate as well because it fires via pretty traditional glass and metal optics.
What's the ground like? Can we reach their back line without being spotted?
We're already far behind the back line. The battery is only 30 clicks away. Not getting spotted is entirely up to you, but you made it this far.
And how do we get back?
Same thing. We get around and reach our lines. You have 15 minutes to reply and rearm. Dismissed.
Yeah, so this guy is way in over his head, basically. Like, he's a company commander ordering... They're already behind enemy lines. So they're behind an enemy front line, setting up to go even further behind the enemy front line, with the idea that they will eventually circle back around to Allied troops. That's a lot of expectation for a dude this far behind his supply lines. And that's also probably why they had to get dropped off by aircraft. Yeah, a lot of Chimeras and Lehman Russes in this camp. Hey, we got a long las. Nice. This looks like a Voss, to me. So, these are Lehman Russes in the back, and then our modified ones up here. I'm not sure if there's a name for these, but there should be. Honestly, they make the guns on the Lehman Russes look like like Vanquisher cannons. They look like a bunch of Vanquishers. Yeah, it looks like a long lasgun version of the Voss. Yeah, holy shit, dude, that's so a Vanquisher cannon. Holy hell. I mean, there's no way these are all Vanquishers, but still, this looks like a squeezed Vanquisher. Again, I don't know why the Lehman Russ, if that is, well, it is a Russ, I don't know why the Lehman Russ would have worse auspex than these little specialty vehicles. I mean, the Russ is the standard. It does have pretty strong auspex. Yeah, like a Russ on a diet, I agree.
Update to the orbit. The scout team is now under your direct command. Let me know when you have eyes on the position.
Roger. Scout team, this is Sakari. Radio check over.
Sahari, this is scout team. Radio check over.
Okay, over.
What's your ammo status?
We're fully loaded.
Ah, I heard you'd only just arrived. Don't get too used to that. It's a nice change in my routine. Well, enjoy it while it lasts.
Why are the Tallarns such dicks? Why are they being so rude? He's just being an asshole for no reason.
Only been doing this my whole life.
It's like, dude, he's probably like 20 years older than you. He's a regimental, like, he's legitimately like a company commander, and you're just being like, oh yeah, good fucking luck with that, nerd. It's like, come on, man. Chain of command. I know you're from a different regiment, but you're under his command.
Your whole life so far. Right, we're repositioning. Spearhead over.
Status of the heretics, over.
Most Hunkerings down in their barracks. Some of the SPGs are still firing, but we expected that. They seem unaware of us for a moment.
Good. We stick to the plan then.
Also, I love... See, what I was talking about before with, you know, infantry maybe having a couple of tanks along with them, it also goes the other way. This is a tank or an armored regiment or a mechanized regiment and an armored regiment that have a bunch of long las-wielding scouts as just like a scout company. And that's not unreasonable or illegal.
A nice spot to sit on.
Also, that's a really nice gun. I love this. This is a cool design for a long las. But you can see from the size and the thinness that this is definitely a long las that would have, you know, less shots per magazine because it's just got less ability to transfer power.
Follow us.
Okay, yeah. So again, the long las has this very complicated suite of electronics up in the telescoping sight. And it's very, very complicated. It's a nice Auspex piece that helps them with calculating their shot. And he's hooking it up to the tank so he can help identify for them where they need to go. Yeah. Okay, so, holy shit, we got some guns and some tanks here. Looks like some barracks back here, maybe a heavy vehicle for moving them. And then what is definitely some usurpers, self-propelled guns, maybe a couple of tanks. And then these are 100% dug-in usurpers. Usurpers, if you don't know, they are 132 or 120 millimeter self-propelled guns. They're fully contained, pretty heavy, the size of a Chimera, but probably built off of one of the existing Urdeshi chassis. We aren't sure which. And then these look like just a bunch of 100, 120 millimeter, and 132. This is probably a 132 millimeter guns. Same thing with these. These are probably 132s. But these look like 105s or 100s.
Sergeant, we're good to go.
Roger. Give me a minute. Out. Nathal, Cirrus, this is Sakari. Ready to go?
Natal, ready, over.
Nathal, okay. Out to you. Cirrus?
Cirrus, good to go.
Out. Ironhead, this is Hornet. All scouts are ready, sir. Over.
Very well. Wait for my signal. Out.
I don't know why you're poking your head out of the tank just to look with your things. You can also see that these Russes have a massive extra piece on their frontal armor, acting as a pleek armor, which is nice.
All call signs, Alpha, advance. Beta, your weapons free.
Hornet, Alpha, you are clear to go. Mind Beta on your 2.
Alpha Hornet, roger. Priority targets? SPGs are on your 10.
Holy hell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 usurper guns plus, I would say, another 20 batteries of guns. That's a shit ton of firepower.
But you'll have to push through the
That's a whole ass artillery regiment for reference.
embankments.
And then these don't look like vehicles to me, but they might be.
Engage at your discretion.
Possibly light ammo humper vehicles.
Roger that, Hornet.
And you can see 5 Lehman Russes, one of which is definitely a Vanquisher, maybe 2. And then probably 5 more Chimeras behind them. So this is probably an armor company or 2 armor companies and then 1 mechanized company. Which is pretty standard for the Talon. Those might be Conqueror cannons, but to me that looks like a Vanquisher. That's freaking huge. They've got like the space Arabic on the Talarn Chimeras. So that's definitely like a smaller, more standard artillery piece. I would probably have dug these a little bit deeper into the ground, guys. I mean, it's sand. We can afford to dig a little bit deeper. And having basically no protection for your infantry and digging them in that shallow is a little bit rough.
Alpha, you've got an enemy squad regrouping on your 1.
Chaos Space Marine. This definitely looks to me like some sort of semi-world eater. But yeah, this is not unreasonable. During the Sabbath Worlds Crusade, multiple different Chaos Space Marine warbands end up working with the Chaos Forces of the Zhou Sanguinary, or end up just working alongside them by accident.
Sergeant, there's a heretic marine near the comm station, switching to hotshot packs.
Dude, you only have hotshot packs. That's what the Longlas uses. You do not use regular packs in your gun.
Throne. Alpha, you have an Astartes inbound. Pull back.
Yeah, 100%. He's got the horn, he's got the red armor, he's got the bolt pistol. World Eater. Also, look what he's firing at. He's not just being a dumbass. He's firing at the vision blocks on the tank, which is exactly what you should be doing, because even if it doesn't penetrate, it will make it harder for them to see.
Optics are fracked.
Damn it! Driver, reverse full speed.
Also, bro, you have infantry coming in behind you. I would not just say reverse full speed without, taking a little bit of caution ahead of time. Also, this is either a power or a chainsword. It's probably a chainsword, but either way, interesting thing. Really unfortunately placed piece of rock. This is like a perfect ramp for a Marine to run up. Yeah. Oh yeah, shooting at the Panzer vision ports, especially with anti-tank rifles back in the day, were something that they told you to do. Was he just knocking? he was just knocking, checking that everyone was there. Like, knock, knock, motherfucker, you're about to experience pain. But yeah, so I often talk about how it's difficult for a Marine to get onto an armored vehicle and how they can be shaken off or shot off pretty easily. They would need something like this, a jump-off point, a ramp, another building, some point of advantage to get onto the vehicle first. Just climbing up it would be pretty hard. And yes, they can rip hatches off tanks, but my concern is just he should be jinking and shifting his turret and spinning it and just doing as much as he can to shake this guy off, because it's pretty obvious there's a Marine on your tank. He did not actually... Yeah, this is just an open hatch. He should have to rip this open. Hold up. Oh, that was why he was stomping. Never mind. Okay, so he was smashing it in. I missed that. My bad. So he didn't rip it off. He literally just slammed his boot into it and then dropped a frag inside. Okay, that one's a little bit ridiculous. Alright, hold up. So, this has to be a power sword, otherwise this doesn't make sense. Because, you can see, he draws it. This is clearly a normal sword, not a chain sword. To me, it looks like an Astartes combat blade. But it's gotta be a power sword, otherwise he would not be able to slide it through 180 millimeters of solid fucking steel. You realize he's putting it through the front plate of the Lehman Russ. 180 millimeters of solid steel. This thing just shoves straight through, cuts the driver's wheel in half, and impales him. This has to be a power sword. There's no way that's not a power sword. Because, yeah. And even with a power sword, I think that's going to require some serious fucking energy. Because 180 millimeters of steel is a lot to cut through. But yeah, that's probably a power sword. Otherwise, that doesn't make any sense. Holy shit. That dude just exploded. Woe be upon ye. Bang! Standard bolt round. It probably hit something explosive on his uniform, but still, I just find that hilarious. So, for symbols, we can see this guy is kind of orangey red, and then he's got a black icon on his shoulder. To me, that looks like... That looks like the, talons of the... Yeah, bro turned into a firework. It looks like the talons of the Tyrant's Claw, to me. So this could be a Red Corsair, which is not impossible. Red Corsairs are found in lots of areas throughout the galaxy, but they're not as widespread as others. It could also be just a generic, Cornate Chaos Space Marine. Okay, really quick. Some things just happened there. He comes around the side of the tank. He runs into a Mechanicus member, goes up against the Force Axe, the Power Axe, with his Power Sword. They both come off pretty even because they're both power weapons. Big spray of sparks here. Shoots the AdMech dude in the chest twice. And the AdMech dude responds by basically blowing his arm off at the elbow with a plasma gun. That's pretty reasonable. Like I said, plasma guns can penetrate the extremities of Astartes armor, but they wouldn't penetrate the central area. And this dude should definitely be dead or dying after taking 2 bolt shells to the chest. Again, they're not usually all that armored, definitely not 30 or 40 millimeters worth. So probably one would have cracked the protection and the second one should have penetrated. But either way, our buddy here is now for some reason putting his knife down. Probably because he just got his arm blown off, and he's about to take an 85 millimeter armor-piercing round to the chest. Which, yeah, people have often asked, what happens if you shoot an Astartes with a, medium caliber anti-tank gun? This is what happens. You put a fucking hole through them, and it probably detonates on the outside. So again, if I had a high velocity 8 centimeter gun, and I shot an Astartes in the chest with an armor-piercing round, it's going to get it through and through protection, or through and through penetration, because their overall protection is really only like 90 millimeters of steel, and this thing can make a mockery of 90 millimeters of steel. So it will absolutely obliterate them. I don't know how that dude is still alive after taking 2 bolt rounds to the chest. Just gonna say. I mean, he must be pretty tough. But yeah, definitely put down the Marine with a shot to the head, even though you just got that in. We got some Pact Sons, or more likely some Cultists over there, because they're using auto guns. Look at that multi-laser shot. Wasn't that beautiful? Hold up, I want to watch that again. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew.
Priest,
See, his whole chest is just, like, blackened. Bro, that's 2 bolt shells. How are you alive? How are you alive?
have to scuttle the 2 disabled Russes.
I already gave orders.
Ammo in the tanks is rigged.
Good. The young Messiah will remember their sacrifice.
It's an important thing to scuttle your vehicles when you're fighting Chaos Forces so that they can't use them. Yay! There's the other half of Steel Coffins. I am sorry that basically cut out in the middle. And cut out at the beginning. I'm going to end right now, because that'll be a nice, 10-minute part 2 to this. So, thank you all so much for coming. That was about an hour of streaming, so I hope you guys enjoy. Remember to go watch those 2 videos that I uploaded, and I will be back to watch more animations with you guys another time. Alright? Y'all have a good one. Peace out.